Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to ENW Farms. Today we're going to be working back on the Spra-Coupe 3440 project that we've already done 3 videos on. I'm going to try to get all the hydraulic stuff knocked out today, and go ahead and we'll get all the hoses connected back up, crimp back down to where they need to be in their hold downs. Try to get the reservoir flushed out and the filter screen inside the reservoir clean and put back in, and go ahead and fill the system back up with fluid. And then I would like to get the throttle cable put back on also. And then that way we'll be able to put the short shafts in for the drive line and possibly drive it out and test our hydraulic system out, and see how we did and see how many leaks we might have. Because it won't be long, a couple more weeks, and we'll be needing to make a pass across ryegrass with 2,4-D for weed control. So jump in, see what we can get into, and see how much fun we get into today. In one of the last videos, somebody requested maybe describing what we're looking for on hydraulic cylinders as far as damage or issues that we might have. I'll show you more about what to look for here on the chrome rod part once we get these busted apart. But here you can see these are the wiper seals that run on the rod, and you can see that one there is showing signs of oil passing by it right in here. The cylinder that does the boom lift is actually in worse shape than this one is. But what you'll see is over time, you'll see how that ring is split right there. That ring will split apart, and the packing inside the gland will actually begin to bypass oil, and it won't keep the oil inside the can down here. It'll come externally out past the rod every time the rod moves up and down. And so that's what we're trying to, the main issue we're trying to do. Remember in one of the other videos I talked about that if the actual piston ring that is on the actual end of the piston here goes bad, oftentimes what you'll see is you'll see a cylinder that one won't hold itself up, meaning that the fluid is just cycling through the cylinder. Maybe you raise the boom up and it comes back down, but you're not seeing fluid leak externally. Usually in that case, it's either the seal on the piston inside the can leaking, or we have a valve issue. Another way to tell if a cylinder is bypassing inside of itself, in between the one port and the other port, if you'll take a infrared temp gun and you'll actually feel the heat building up, and usually these will be hot to the touch. Yes, they do get hot if it's in a system that is running a lot of hydraulic fluid through it, but usually in an application like this right here, if we got one bypassing where this is not used all the time, it will be hot to the touch, and that'll be the telltale sign that the piston feels bad. Let me set y'all back up where I can work, and let y'all watch what I'm going to do, and then we'll split this cylinder and then pull the pin out of it so we can actually pull the piston and stuff out. So another thing too, on those other cylinders, we got to use the gland nut tool. You can see here, this one has been either hitting on something or somebody's hit it with something at some point in time. You can see the holes are oblong too, there where the actual tool goes in. So you can also see there where they've had a hold of it with a pipe wrench. Unfortunately, that's how we're going to have to bust this one apart. I don't like to do them that way, but in this situation right here, we have no choice but to put a pipe wrench on it and see if we can break it loose. So today, I think that's what you're going to see me use most of the day. Don't judge me, please. The problem you run into doing it with a pipe wrench like this is it's such a small lip right there that you're trying to catch. Oftentimes you'll wind up catching the can and it'll have issues. Just somewhat easier to use the right tool for the job. Thought it was going to rain today. The weatherman's lied for the last 2 days. We got poultry litter we ought to be spreading, but According to the weatherman, we were supposed to have had 2 inches of rain by today. I think I screwed up when I went to school. I should have went to school to be a weatherman. That's the only person I've ever seen that gets to keep their job even when they lie about what the weather's going to do. Glad the weatherman's not my doctor. Get us a bucket to catch that. Okay, so the next thing we got to do is take this pin right here out. So we got to pull the Carter key and then drive that pin up. Which reminds me, I'm going to put the Carter key back in this one. We need one on the other side too. So y'all don't forget to remind me that we need to do that. You can see the color of that fluid. So you can see there's our long piston, there's our gland, there's gland nut and stuff. I'm not going to bore y'all with watching me bust these two rods apart. We done that in another video. If you're interested on how I done that, jump back and you can watch that video to see how to actually repack a cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and jump up here and we'll take the top one apart, and then that way I can do both of them at the same time. So let me get everything situated around here. I'll turn y'all around to where you'll be able to see a little better, and we'll get started on it. Okay, so we got to take this bolt right here out, and that's going to remove the rod from the top of the boom section. We might actually luck up. This one is not in as far as the gland is not as in a bad a shape as that other one, so we might be able to actually get to use the actual special tool for that. I forgot to manage it up before I showed you this packing seal on here, but I'll show you that whenever I get this loose. So let me grab us some wrench on with that ratchet the other week that was 5 miles long. I found me a short one today. Maybe I'll be stout enough to actually pull it. Y'all in for a treat on this one. This one's got damage on the chrome, so we'll see how long this lasts. So let me get down from here. We'll talk about it then. Okay, so I got this first cylinder busted apart. I told you as soon as I pulled it apart on the machine over there, probably gonna have issues. Show you what I was talking about. Get to where I can see the camera and make sure it's gonna focus. You see all of this right here? That is pitting in the chrome. Same thing here, where that rod is rusted, where there's been trash or contaminants or water sitting in there in that seal. Um, that's going to cause us problems. I'm going to try to buff that down, but I'm afraid this seal's probably not ever going to stay in this um, without some major modification. Because what happens is every time that seal runs over top of that, it catches those edges that I'm catching with my fingernail right there, and it'll actually just tear the seal. And so let me see if I can buff on that a little bit, polish on it, and see what I can get done. This is going to be one of those seals we're just going to have to try to do something. If we really wanted to, we could probably send that back to the hydraulic shop, have them cut us a new rod, and put a new rod in it. But we'll just try this and see what we can make do. Try to polish this with good thing seals are cheap. I wound up getting a couple extra seals. Um, you look, maybe you'll be able to see it right there at the tip of my finger. Camera would focus in on it. That wiper seal is literally split from top to bottom. So that's where that fluid was bypassing that. You can see a chunk or two missing out of it. So I know I said I wasn't going to show you how to repack those, but I actually forgot. While I was at the hydraulic shop the other week, the guy that actually helped me get the right seals and actually put the other seals together for me while we were checking on making sure they were right. Being a mechanic, I'm always looking for better tools to do a job, or stuff that you know may have not ever known about them being out there. I tell guys all the time in class that you can learn something new every day. It might not be that you learn how to do something new every day, but it might be that you learn about a new tool to make a job easier, or you maybe learn a trick or something that you've not ever seen. But these are Matco. Snap-on sells them too, but they're a O-ring pick, so that whenever you're picking the packing seal out of these glands, that you don't gouge that gland in there. What will happen if you actually gouge that gland? You now created a passage because of the high pressure that's on the back side of that to bypass and come out through the actual gland itself. So I'm going to give these guys a shot. Never used them before. Had never seen them until that day, and it was one of those things. I seen it, I was like, holy crap, I got to have a set of them. They weren't that bad priced. I think for a regular tool customer, direct from Matco, they were about $70. Because of my job, they offer our students a student discount rate. So as an instructor, I get to take advantage of that also. So I'm gonna dig these seals out. Again, you can see they're so brittle, literally just busting all the pieces. Nice. Wow. Just Teflon ring and O-ring. This guy here. See how swelled out that guy is there now? That's not quite setting right down in the ring. That one with me. To protect this ring before I put my clamp on there. Right back. Cheap worm gear clamp put on there. I am let that set for a few minutes. And while we're doing that, we'll go ahead and try to put our seal. Okay, so you can see that seal. You see how it's wider on the back than it is on the front. So that's the direction we need to put it in there. All right. They make what's called a seal twister that you can actually put those in with, and it does make it easier. I don't have one of them. Alright, so you can see both of those guys in there. Last thing we got to do, be sure that we put the two O-ring and the backing seal on. Alright, now we're to that point in time where we were at the last time. On this one at least, where we're ready to put it back together. Grab me just a little bit of grease to grease those with. Had to come out of that hoodie. It was getting hot. Hard to believe it's only the 10th of February and it's about 60 something degrees today. Next week will probably be freezing to death again. Only problem I worry about is if it does storm tonight, as hot as what it is right now, what kind of bad weather are we going to get? Back on there. You see how tight that Teflon ring is back down in there. It's not sticking up anywhere now. Alright, so I'm going to turn y'all off. I'm going to knock this other seal kit out, and then I'll turn y'all back on when we get back to the machine. Okay, so you can see I got the cylinders put back together. I went ahead and put us new cotter pins in each cylinder before I turned the camera back on. The last thing I got left to do is this hydraulic hose right here goes right there, and we need to connect them back up, and then we'll have all the hydraulic lines back here on this portion buttoned up, and then you can see these hoses hanging down right here. They find their way up this side of the boom right here and then mount right into a valve that's right there. So I'm going to mount those back in before we quit on this rear section. I'll try to figure out a way to set y'all up higher up on the actual sprayer so you can see where all I'm doing, what I'm doing up there. It's just got little clamps and it holds two lines on the bottom, 2 lines on the top, and a bolt runs down through them to bolt them there. But once we get this done, we'll be buttoned up with our hydraulic stuff back here on the back of the machine. And then we can move up, clean the filter screen in the tank, and go ahead and fill the tank back up with fresh hydraulic fluid. So let me move the camera around here a little bit, and then that way you'll be able to see me connect this hose up. And then once we get done with that, we'll gather up our tools and shimmy up on top of the sprayer. That just about went in that bucket. All right, let's get up on top of the machine and See if we can not fall off. All right, try this again. Fall off this, y'all be the first ones to see. This thing's got like 60-foot booms on it, and I don't have a shed big enough to unfold it. So we've done all this in the barn that I got. And I would have loved to have got to unfold booms on it. So I wouldn't have been climbing up and down all over top of them all day long. Each day. But ain't what we got, so we make and do. More along. More, I just went like that. I feel like I'm digging in a cereal box for this nut that I'm chasing. I'm gonna jump down and go in. They all melt. Did you get that out? To the back side of this block right here. One goes there, there's another one goes down lower. Two of them go right here, here and here. And so I'm gonna work my way around. I figure the two straights are the ones that go around to the back, and the two 90s are the ones that are gonna go right here. But let me see if I can get these to attach on, and then we'll go from there. Got those hoses on the back all buttoned up. So the last thing that we've got to do to the hydraulic system on this is pull this as a screen that's inside up here. We're going to go ahead and take it out, flush it out with brake clean, and then we're going to go ahead, connect the supply hoses back up to the pump, and we're going to go ahead then and fill the system up with hydraulic oil. And then that way, after lunch, I come back. I'm going to try to get the throttle cable put on, get all that stuff buttoned up, and oh yeah, that's good stuff right there. You can see all that trash and junk that's in that screen. Finish let that reservoir drain out. I'm going to step out here and wash this off with brake clean. Try to get that all cleaned up, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I got her filter washed out. I did see some stuff in the filter that makes me a little nervous. There was some presence of some metal in this screen. So that makes me a little nervous. But the other thing is I really don't know how long it's been since the screen's ever been cleaned out, or if it has ever been cleaned out. Because like I said, we bought this machine used, so I'm hoping that it's just the fact it's never been cleaned out, and it's just shavings from the pump whenever it was initially breaking in. So got this clean, we're ready to put it back in. So we'll go ahead and put it back in, and then we'll get some hydraulic fluid out and fill the reservoir back up. This is the drain plug for the actual reservoir. I'm gonna see if I can get it to come out. There's a lot more in there than I expected. Clean up on aisle 1, please. You might as well laugh about it. There ain't no reason not to. Boy, that's gonna make a mess. Let me grab us some stuff to soak that up. Let me see if I can get shimmied up in here. Got a good place to stand. Pour fluid in. Try not to fall off on my head. Running out down there? Hopefully not. Reservoir full. I went ahead and overfilled this reservoir because you have to remember that when we initially fire this machine up, we have to fill up all these hoses and all the cylinders that we had apart. So that'll make sure that we don't run low before we shut the machine off. So, alright, well, lunchtime, break.